Hey guys, welcome to another Mind Right Monday. Today we're going to talk about why it's really not that big of a deal. Hey guys, welcome back to another Mind Right Monday. I'm Bonnie Kelly, and today we're talking about why it's not really as big of a deal as we typically make it out to be. There's an old saying that says life is 10% of what actually happens to us and 90% how we respond to it. Now there's a lot of truth in this. It really is only 10% of the things that are situations, but think of our reactions, our behaviors, the drama, the controversy that is created around those things. And so today we're going to talk about how we can begin to let go of some of these responses and we can begin to change the way we react to it where it's not going to be emotionally or mentally affecting you as much as it has been. Now this is a big thing, and in fact it requires a lot of emotional intelligence to become less reactive. Without having mindfulness, without being aware of how you respond and react, and why you take this situation so personally, without that insight of knowing thyself, and that really is what emotional intelligence is in the definition of it, then you are going to be defaulting to the reaction of this. Now, just the reaction in of itself is only a small portion. It's really what goes beyond that. It's what we begin to complain about. It's what we begin to talk or obsess about, whether it's in our mind or outward. It's the resentment and the anger that builds within us that creates this shortness or passive aggressiveness towards another person. So all of that is that 90% that quote or that old saying is talking about. Because it's consuming a lot of your mental and emotional energy, and it's taking away from other things that you could be experiencing, like joy, happiness, love, compassion, and self-worth. All of those things cannot exist when you're in misery. The two emotions, they're not together, or they're not the same. We can only be experiencing good highs or the bads. Maybe we can have an influx of them and rapidly go between them, but not when we become obsessed over something. And so today I want to teach you a couple tricks to help you recognize that it's really not that big of a deal and start to make it a little bit less of a deal so you can get back to feeling better quickly. All right, let's start with my first tip, which is slow your roll. Put the brakes on, ladies and gentlemen. I tell you what, once that situation emerges, before you jump in and start investing your opinion and investing all of your energy into whatever that situation is, pump the brakes a little bit, let's settle down and let's take a breather. Just by taking that pause, taking that moment to just, it's going to allow you to evaluate the situation differently. It's going to give you an opportunity to see it, think of it, or challenge it in a different way versus jumping on in the instant it happens. So the first step into learning to not take things so personally and also to not get so emotionally invested in drama is to slow your roll. Take a breath, take a moment, take a day, take 10 minutes, take an hour. Take whatever you need to process it. Now let me put a little disclaimer on this for you. When I say take a moment, I don't mean take weeks, months, and years so that way, because that usually is just a punishment for the other person. We're not talking about that. We're talking about giving you a moment to be able to reflect and then actively choose how you want to respond or react versus allowing the default lower versions of ourselves to respond and react to the situation. All right, let's go into the next tip, which is ask a trusted friend what would they do. Now this is a great suggestion. As soon as you take a moment to pause, maybe it's 10 minutes or an hour, and instead of immediately responding with what you think is best, run it by a trusted advisor. Now again, another disclaimer, it's a trusted advisor, someone who has earned your trust and has earned the right to give you good advice. Now, we all have a lot of mix of different kinds of friends. And some of our friends are going to be more protective of you or more dramatic about situations or more offended by things. They might not be the best person to give you impartial advice. You want to call someone who's really going to look at the whole situation and say, you know, well, it's probably not that big of a deal, or maybe it's a misunderstanding, and give you some practical insight that's going to help you shift, and so you can actively choose a different response to whatever that situation is. All right, this leads me to my third and final tip, which is, finally, ask yourself in 10 years from now, how would you like to be remembered for this moment? This is another great suggestion, and if you really pause for a moment and you think about this, 10 years from now, is this thing, this situation that I'm putting all of this energy into, is it going to be that big of a deal? And the reality is probably not. I mean, if you reflect backwards on situations that you've experienced that just consumed you, and you just were so angry, and you invested so much in that drama of that situation, and we're thinking about it now, was it really that big of a deal? More often than not, it wasn't. It was a speed bump in the reality of life. But yet all of the emotion and energy, the controversy that we injected into that is what made it into this colossal issue that consumed not only you, but probably the people around you as well. So ask yourself, in 10 years from now, is this really going to be that big of a deal? Or how do I want to be remembered for this? Because the reality is, do you want to be remembered as the person who is dramatic and overreactive and angry and aggressive and rude? Or do you want to be remembered as that person that maybe had compassion and understanding and patience, or maybe did really good under pressure and was able to navigate that situation without a lot of controversy? It's up to you, and I'm not judging you either way, but just planting a little seed for food for thought. All right, this leads me to this week's tweetable, which is, most often what appears to be a huge deal today is simply a bump in the road. Remember, life is really just one big journey, and just because you hit speed bumps or you bump into a pothole, the world is not ending. You're going to have plenty more of those along the way, and life is about those journeys, and we want to remember that we're going to pass through those and speed bumps and those little potholes just as much as we're going to get into those highs of experiencing life in full of joy. So you get to make the most of it. I encourage you to do just that. All right, don't forget, all of these videos are brought to you from questions from viewers like you. You can email us your personal development questions to getinspired@bonniekelly.me. And don't forget, we're on all social media platforms, so you can friend, tweet, friend, and follow us on every different platform that's available. Until next week, I'm Bonnie Kelly. Hey guys, I hope you liked this week's video, and I wanted to make sure to give you some added advice and some great tools just in case you want to continue your personal development journey. As you know, we have awesome online academy for you. You can check it out at themindfuacademy.com. It is Kung Fu for the mind. We have all of our online courses available for you instantaneously right now with just a few clicks of a button. But the one I want to share with you today that really kind of connects with this video is to talk about our Forgiving the Unforgivable course. A lot of times when we take situations personally and we get so emotionally invested in it, there's a great opportunity for us to have an active and really good forgiveness practice to be able to separate ourselves and move beyond the situation without getting too emotionally invested. So we have a great product that talks about the 5 steps of wholehearted forgiveness, which includes releasing expectation and boundaries, which I know all of us could use some more insight into. That product is available for you now. Go ahead and go to mindfuacademy.com, check out courses, and you'll find it there. Until next week, I'm Bonnie Kelly.